becomes, what happened to that country? What exactly happened to that country? So to answer that question, with near accuracy, so that we can begin to find ways and means of fixing it, we have to think deep down during this period I'm talking about, late 70s, early 80s. So what went wrong? What went wrong from that point on? So if we can answer that question with a root cause analysis, then we can better begin to find a way in fixing what is wrong with Nigeria, so we can try to make the country great once more. Because this situation is unsustainable, it cannot continue. Nigeria is a giant of Africa, and we are nowhere near whatever, a cat of Africa. So coming to the present, according to National Bureau of Statistics, as of August this year, it says that 27% of Nigerian youths are unemployed, totally unemployed, no job at all. This translates into 21.7 million Nigerian youths roaming the streets without no future. And in that desperation, they try to cross to Europe, and in so doing, a great number of them will die. And then who are we to blame? We blame the youths? No, it's not justified to blame the youths. They're fighting for how they can survive. These are graduates, some of them with PhDs and nothing to do. So if we try to put this number in perspective, we find out that this number of unemployed youths is just 2 million shy of Ghanaian population, just 2 million shy. So if we have this number of youths unemployed with no future, and in addition to that, being brutalized by the security apparatus, I don't know what one will expect. Okay, let's look at our education system. Our universities are in perpetual strike and lockdown. A 4-year degree program now takes about 10 years. So when that kind of situation is built into the system, then one wonders what the outcome is. And what the outcome is not in doubt. That is what we are seeing today.
So, please, let me remind you that, please, so that you can, because of you are the first speaker, and of course we temper with your time. Actually, we allocated 5 minutes to each speaker. But you can see whether you can accept your video now, and I will beg you to probably see if you can quickly tie up the knots together so that we can have enough time to address the next speaker, please.
Okay, let me just see
whether you can accept your video. Let's see if it's possible now, if it's working now as you continue.
Let me see. Oh,
exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, sir.
So, be it as it may, I would like to state categorically here that I personally will in no way or in no form endorse any degree of lawlessness that will include destruction of properties and arson, burning down of things. And I sincerely hope that the youths are not actually the ones doing this. They have the right to do what they are doing, but for a government to use a military assault kind of weapon to try to wear them down is totally unacceptable. These are the future of Nigeria. They are not enemy combatants. They are not enemy combatants. They are fellow citizens. So I sincerely hope that they'll be law-abiding, go about and exercise their civic right and protest as covered under international laws, And if they do that, I just said that we in the diaspora, especially myself, will be in their support and I'll be behind them. And like I said earlier again, I will not condone any act of lawlessness to involve us, because that wasn't the situation. When we bought all these things, we don't have a very good insurance system in our country. All those things burnt and damaged will never come back to life anymore. And who is suffering is still we, Nigerians and the youths. I rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, for that a very, very powerful opening speech. Again, I apologize for the technical mistake or technical difficulty we had at the beginning. And so the next person, I've been informed that they can still find him online, Dr. Obin Kinsman, the chairman of NIDO Africa. If he's around, please, he can take the floor. If he's not around, please, the technical team, bring in Professor E.C. Ejogu, who is the chairman of NIDO Africa, if he's around. And if he's not, please move on to Honorable Gary Onamadu, who is the chairman of Oshonia. So let us take it in that line and see exactly who is available. I know that Honorable Gary Onamadu is online. I've seen him.
Yeah, I'm online too.
Also, Professor is online. So please, the moderator, please, either Professor Ejogu or Gary Onamadu, whoever is who you can manage to put first on the screen, please. So, Prof, probably you take the floor while the technical team try to put you on camera. Prof, unmute yourself and take the floor, sir.
All right, am I good to go?
Yes, you're good to go, sir.
All right, thank you very much for the introduction. And I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all persons of goodwill that are on this forum now, trying to chart a course for the nation we all love. For some of us in our age range, just like the last speaker said, we happen to have experienced the last part of a great Nigeria. And it's unfortunate what we're experiencing now. And when we ask, how did we get here? For me, the simple answer is, I think the leadership at every level, not just political, both political, economic, and religious, have neglected the respect for human life. And that is why business leaders will engage in importing fake products into Nigeria, including fake drugs that kill people. Religious leaders will lead their followers into making them more and more money. And of course, the political leaders, the prime predators that we have in society, decided to do as they like. The last speaker gave statistics of the number of the Nigerian youths that are unemployed. That's just a tiny number compared to the great number of the youths. From one statistic, says 60% of Nigerian youth are below the age of 24 or thereabout. Sorry, 60% of Nigerian population. Now, that population, some are unemployed, some are not, some are underemployed, and some are not getting good education. So the number of youths that are comfortable in this society, no matter the age range they are very, very tiny. If they're in school, they're not being properly taken care of. If they have graduated, there are no jobs. If they're employed, majority are underemployed. So we can't really call that employment. Now, my association with Nigeria in the past several years has made me have hope and also despair. Despair in the sense that one of the students that I'm helping to supervise at the University of Nigeria, just quite a few weeks ago, he went to Enugu and he was coming back for a seminar. He was picked up on a Friday afternoon, and we never saw him, heard from him until Tuesday afternoon. And it was SARS that picked him up. What was his crime? He had beds, and he had a PC, a laptop that he was using to prepare his seminar, a PhD seminar. And that was just that. From Friday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, locked up. So that's just an example of how we have decided to neglect human life in this country. That has led us to all sorts of this across all the leadership positions. So referring specifically to why we're here, it's very reprehensible what has happened. Also more reprehensible that the authorities concerned have not taken responsibility, calling it fake news, no show of sympathy or empathy from the speech we just listened some few moments ago. I could see the dictatorial tendencies, despite some few words thrown in here and there for democratic allegiance. And so, for us to chart the way forward, we have to restore the sense of purpose, sincerity of purpose, and commit ourselves to actually recognize that we don't have any other country than this country, and we must salvage it together. I'm paraphrasing what the present president said after 1983 takeover of the government. He said, we don't have any other country than this country, and we must salvage it together. Now, this is the action time for those in the diaspora, especially for those of us who experience some better part of Nigeria, to now sit down and see how we can craft a plan of action, a strategic plan that will have implementation plan that we can help the government and the people of Nigeria, be it in terms of proposing, of course, reforms, there are one of them, economic participation and all that. I would like to rest my address here and give others the chance. My hope is that at the end of the deliberation, we will come up with constructive plans that are implementable in Nigeria. People have been hurt. The government have their reasons. Youth have better reasons, I suppose. And therefore, we must act as a bridge in guiding the nation at this point where we have reached a crossroad. In doing that, we will show all sense of humility so that people don't misunderstand us and they claim that we are being arrogant and think we know best because we live abroad. No, we must show all sense of humility and understanding to the mindset that we have in the country and try and fashion out the best way out of this mess that we are in. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that very, very follow-up eloquent speech. We're very grateful. Prof is the chairman of Nigerian Diaspora Organization Asia. Before the next speaker comes on board, I want to please quickly recognize Dr. Boma Douglas, who is the chairman of CANUC. CANUC is the Central Association of Nigeria in UK. I also want to recognize Honorable Emmanuel Ani, who is the president of Nigerian Association in Spain. I also want to recognize Engineer Patrick Obiodoyin, the General Secretary, Nigerian Community in Manchester, Peter Olu Ofosoyi, the President of NIDO Africa, Egypt chapter, and Grace Mobosi Nwisi, President of Minnesota Institute of Nigerian Development, MIND, in state of Minnesota, and Honorable Ayo Lawan, representing Nigerian Union, Gothenburg, Spain, and also the Vice President of NIDO, Qatar. Thank you, Honorable compatriots, for coming on board. While I leave the floor to the chairman of Nigerian Diaspora Organization, Oshonia. Honorable Gary, you have the floor, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
All right. So thanks once again, and welcome everyone. I think we all are here for one specific purpose, for a better future for all of us as a Nigeria. Look, I don't want to appear to be repetitive of what has been said. Prof my co-chair, Prof. Ejiogu, and Engineer Obed appears gone quite in depth and giving us the good history of our great nation, Nigeria. And in regards to what is actually going on now, affecting our youth, I'm probably coming from the direction, the kind of shame, embarrassment we Nigerians in diaspora are facing all over the globe, because a lot of us seems to be ambassadors and true Nigerians representing ourselves and our people in different parts of the world. I think in the last 2 days or 3 or 4 days, the question at work or everywhere has been, what is going on in your country? So, are you people safe? Media organizations following you around, asking you, can you tell us a little bit about your nation? I think it's part of human nature that we all wants to give a good image and talk good of our country. But obviously, as it stands now, we had nothing positive to talk about, whereby you, or what you can see on the social media is seeing your young ones being slaughtered and murdered, and houses and properties being burnt down, police stations. So obviously, what I want to see on today's meeting is if we're able to, work together as people with like-minded individuals, come up with action or what we can actually do to support, to see if we'll be able to have that great Nigeria back. So we can actually create, if our government will listen to us, to create a future for our youth. I think the worst thing you can do for a young person is that they're growing up in a society, they cannot predict their future, except if you belong to pretty much 1% of the country. So, Chair, I will allow you to go ahead. I don't want to take a lot of your time, and thanks all. So I'll sit down and watch as we deliberate. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Gary Namadu from NIDO Oshonia. We have Honorable Kingsman from NIDO Africa. If it's not there, I don't know if I'm allowed to call any representative from NIDO Africa without my fellow chair cutting my neck. So I think I will probably hope that he will come on board, while I take permission from my continental chairs to also make my own 5 minutes contribution. And if you don't mind, because of my coordinating so many things, I would like to make sure that I get it quite correctly. In the last 10 days, Nigerians have witnessed unprecedented agitation, calling for an end to police brutality via the End SARS movement. The movement is not only calling for an end to police brutality, but also a call to end corruption, need for good governance through federalism and restructuring, and for a holistic overhaul of our nation's law and order, good education, job for the teeming youth, and for a prosperous Nigerian society where there are hope, justice, and equality for all. The Central Executive Council and Board of Trustees of Nigerian Diaspora Organization Europe, NIDO, which comprises 23 chapters in 21 European countries, representing the interests of all Nigerians in Europe in development phase with Nigerian youths, and the vision which is based on equality, respect for the youth, rule of law. We totally endorse this vision by Nigerian youth, and we support that. NIDO Europe condemns in strongest terms, like all my previous speaker, any violence of repression or suppression and the killing of peaceful demonstrators. The live image of security forces killing, aiming at our youth as if they are objects of target is totally unacceptable and reprehensible. We want to collectively remind our government that Nigerians in Diaspora Organization Europe and the international community are monitoring the ongoing situation in Nigeria and have expressed and registered their displeasure over the unlimited killing of young Nigerians, no matter how, whether it is one or two. Every single life matters, every Nigerian life matters. And what makes it very, very painful is that these are unarmed Nigerian youths. We will continue to monitor the situation and will mobilize international coalition to ensure that anyone, irrespective of his social political status, who is involved in the massacre of unarmed Nigerian youths will be held accountable before the international law. It is obvious that the youth of Nigeria, and indeed the large majority of Nigeria, are no longer willing to accept business as usual in Nigeria, and they have spoken of, and we need to respect their wishes and aspirations. In summary, NIDO Europe joins the call for 30% increase in the salary of police officers from police units, starting from grade level 1 to the cadet inspector level of grade 7. Payment of compensation to each families of those killed by SARS/police officers in the last 7 days. Setting up of judicial panel to investigate all cases of SARS/police brutality and recommend appropriate punishment for all earning officers. Unconditional release of all SARS protesters who are currently being detained by Nigerian police. Reduction in salaries and allowances of total packages of our member of State House of Assembly. The same thing applies for the National State House of Assembly, National House, and as well as the Senate. We also ask for the reduction in salaries of the President and the Vice President. These are all very, very obvious reasons in a country that has been termed the poverty of the world capital. We cannot continue to accept these stages of jumbo salaries while majority of Nigerian youths are suffering. NIDO Europe is also calling for the implementation and recommendation of the last national conference agenda as accepted by the great majority of Nigerians. We are also using this opportunity to join forces of progressive people in Nigeria to ask for the electoral reform and to make sure that the diaspora are able to vote, because we want to participate in the political process of Nigeria, and diaspora voting is an essential part of that. So we are also joining the list of requests that our youths are making to ask the federal government to act immediately for the electoral vote reforms and to make sure that diasporas are allowed to vote. We are also calling on the reduction of package and the salaries of governors and their security packages. These are all the equitable equality of what we call minimum salaries, and compared to the salaries of those people who are supposed to be policymakers for us. We can no longer continue to accept that, and we stand shoulder to shoulder with Nigerians in demanding for that. And of course, we want to remind all the agencies of government that have been standing in the way of all the development policies from the diaspora to improve the lives of Nigerians, that it can no longer be business as usual. That we have all the necessary need and to call for such reforms. And the last but not the least, we're also asking that as part of the diaspora engagement to make sure that we have a good governance in Nigeria, that we are calling also the federal government without hesitation to constitute the Nigerian Diaspora Board, NIDCOM, so that we'll be able to participate fully in the affairs of Nigeria. I will leave it at that as part of the request from NIDO Europe, and I hope that the other speakers who are going to come on board, we also have similar demands. And at the end of the day, like, thank you for listening to me. While I see that the technical moderator have already highlighted one of the representatives from Africa, since we cannot find Chairman Kinsman. So Mr. Peter Olufosoye, please pardon me for if I'm not pronouncing it very correctly. You take the floor to represent NIDO Africa. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. It's my pleasure to be part of this meeting. With the permission of the NIDO Africa chairman, whom I expected to be online today, but I don't know why he is not online. So I will speak briefly, actually, because I was not informed to prepare to speak. But anyway, this is a Nigerian issue, and it affects everyone. So I will prefer I'll just go straight to the point. What happened in Nigeria is a very serious issue, and it's really affecting Nigeria globally. Briefly, on that same Tuesday, some group of Nigerians here also protested, and without proper proper documentation to prepare, to protest. And they were arrested, but the embassy have swiftly go into the action, and they are looking into how to get them out. So what I'm trying to say now is that the situation back home in Nigeria, I think it's calls for the diaspora worldwide to come together and find a way to be participating in the governance of Nigeria and in policy making as well. Hence, we are the people that are bringing investors to Nigeria and connecting businesses. We can't just be doing the repatriation of money or sending money back home without being part of the policy making. We should be considered, and our voice should be heard also. As far as things are in Nigeria, everybody is really concerned, most especially the parents. I personally stay off the media for a few days now, since I saw what happened on Tuesday, because it's really very disheartening. But I want to say that if we can all come together, if the leaders of NIDO, Nigerian Diaspora, both Europe, America, Oceania, Asia, if they can come together, the leaders, the chairman, if they can come together and have one voice for all Nigerians in diaspora, I believe the government will be ready to listen to us. They will find a way to have a good channel between we in the diaspora and the Nigerian government as well. I want to appeal especially that there are many ways the Nigerian government can meet the, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Continue, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. If the Nigerian government can find a way to meet with the protesters, even as they don't have leaders. But if you see, there's one video we saw in Oyo State where Governor Makinde came down to meet with the protesters and they discussed. So if the governors in different parts of the country that are having issues, this unrest now, they meet with the protesters, these are their children. So they could go on the street, meet with them, talk to them, rather than forcefully fighting them or shooting them. And look at what is happening in Nigeria today now. We are following the trend of how they are looting. If we talk about governance, just for those who are in the government in Nigeria and the diaspora are left out of it, I don't think it's a very good thing. I saw a video just a few hours ago now where a store was broken and some of the palliative food, the palliative food for the COVID-19 were broken and people are carrying bags. These are things that are supposed to be supplied to people during May. So it means it is not just the central, it is not just the federal government, it is also the people in each state. How do they mingle? How do they relate with their people back home, in each state? Because if they have come together, as father or leaders and the citizens, this will have solved some problem, and it won't lead to this massacre or this shooting the youth. You see, it's really very disheartening. So I think this is the time NIDO worldwide should come together. And if there are differences in any way, I think they should come together now, the leaders, the continental chairman, to come together to find a way to bring a common voice, a common ground to deal with the government, to have a channel of communication. Let us talk to the government about what we are facing and our mind to the government to see how we can work together. If we are sending money back home, if we are doing business back home, if we are bringing businesses back home, I think we should be part of decision taking also. That is to have slots to engage the government in area where we can discuss and see how we can make things work for both our family, our citizens in Nigeria and in the diaspora as well. So let me pause for a while here while I allow other people. So I want to thank you once again for giving me this impromptu opportunity to be able to speak in this platform, representing NIDO Africa. And I want to thank our chairman also, and I want to thank the NIDO Europe. I think we've met on occasions on the online, and I've always been appreciating your endeavors to make sure that the NIDO worldwide is coming together to have a say in the government. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We appreciate that compliment. And the compliment goes to the NIDO worldwide leadership, who has actually been standing very strong in spite of all the opposition we're having from the government. And thank you. That ends the first segment, which is the NIDO worldwide leadership. And then we have the agenda number 9. We say any member of the Nigerian Professional Association represented. We have 1 or 2 persons who have actually signified their interest. One of them is the president of Minnesota Institute for Nigerian Development. In case the technical director can bring her in, or the chairman of a Nigerian community in Spain, or the chairman of Nigerian Union, Association of Nigerian Union in Italy. So if you have any of these distinguished Nigerians, can you please put them on board? Honorable Emmanuel Ani, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Please, I will beg you to make it very, very brief so that we can accommodate as many people as possible.
It's okay. Good evening from Madrid, fellow Nigerians. I really thank the NIDO Worldwide for convening this meeting tonight. Do I know that it's morning in some areas of the world today? What is really happening in our country is really disheartening. And we should be proud of our youths, because what me and you could not do, that led us to self-imposed exile, because that we are in abroad in diaspora does not mean say we do not have what it takes to contribute to our nation building, but because we do not have the enabling environment. That is why most of us fled from that place. Just like most Nigerians are dying in the high sea, in the Mediterranean Sea, because they want to cross over for a better life, just like someone just mentioned. So what I believe that this meeting tonight called for a re-strategizing on how we can pattern with what is happening now. Because the only way our government, the devilish people leading us, because just like someone said in one of the videos I had this afternoon, is that the Nigerian politicians are more hard-hearted than devil is himself. So there's no need of us treating them with a soft glove. Let us face it the way our youth, that me and you supposed to face this evening or yesterday, that they are facing for us. They are sacrificing their destiny, their life for me and you, our children. So what we have to discuss here tonight is how are we going to get involved in this issue that is happening now? And that should be our discussion. That is my own take. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Emmanuel, for very, very brief and to the point. We appreciate you. Another distinguished compatriot who is not a member of the NIDO is Madam Grace from Institute, let me not murder the name, from Minnesota Institute for Nigerian Development, MIND. Madam, you have the floor, please. Make it as brief as possible, Madam. We appreciate you. Please unmute yourself, Madam, and you have the floor. It's Madam Grace. If not, please, our technical director, you could move to the next person if she's not available. Okay, if it's not available, Madam, please, can you let the next person take the floor so that we don't waste so much time? We also want to recognize the presence of Professor Nwa, oh my God, for Nigerian Diaspora Movement from USA. Prof, I hope you're not going to kill me. I always call you Prof, and I'm just trying to master your I hope I got it right, but all the same. So Professor is online, and he will have it.
Yeah, just say Apollos. Apollos. That's
Professor
enough.
Apollo, thank you, from the Nigerian Diaspora Movement. We're happy to have you on. Our technical director, please, the next person, if Madam Grace is not available. Professor Apollo, you have the floor, sir. Please unmute yourself. Please, Prof, unmute yourself. Or the technical director, please unmute Prof.
Okay, yes, I have done that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. And we beg you, Prof, we know that profs are always very good in classroom and they tell us a lot of, please make it as brief as possible, Prof.
Honorable Bandi, I didn't know that you couldn't pronounce my last name. It's Nwa.
Nwa, please forgive me. I owe you one on that.
No issues at all. But I want to thank all of you. I want to thank NIDO Worldwide for this meeting. And as you said, I will try my best to just keep it short. Otherwise, it's been a rough 2 weeks in our country, and only a dead person would say that it's not being shaken by what just happened or what is going on. And I think those of us in diaspora owe it to our folks at home to let them know that though we are outside the country, most of us are not feeling well. Most of us, for the past 2 days, I have not slept well, and I know that's the same with many of you. And I think the time has come. I have been predicting this, that in terms of any country that does not respond appropriately to the yearning of the masses, the yearning of the youth, the yearning of its people, is only getting itself ready for an explosion. It's just sitting on a keg of gunpowder. This is how it happens anyway. No country is immune from a revolution or explosion or Arab Spring. Any country, because so long as we are humans, you can hold them down for a long time, but when the time comes, it really explodes. And I think what we are seeing, though they started with NSAS and so on, is the deep-seated frustration. And only those who are not following what is going on will just say, it's NSAS, and I think they've ended SARS. It's not just that. There is more to it. And I think the earlier our government begins to really, honestly begin to deal with deep-seated issues, the earlier they started doing it, the better for the country. But so long as we keep saying, because I know how these things go, before we know it, we will be divided into ethnic cleavages and so on, and that destroys exactly what everybody is suffering. So I, on our part, particularly for Nigerian Diaspora Movement, we have already issued our response to this, condemning what has happened. And we also identify with the youths who are protesting. And I think with other groups, if there is anything we can do to support the youth, to support the government in the reform process. If they need ideas from people here, let them get us in there to try to at least make our contribution towards a real reform, and reform that will have teeth. Not a matter of, today I listened to the president. One thing he said was that we have heard you, our youth, we have heard you loud and clear. And I like that, but I hope they actually heard them loud and clear. So on our part, the Nigerian Diaspora Movement, along with NIDO, I'm a member of NIDO, I'm a member of the Nigerian Diaspora Movement. I think a time has come for us to begin to tell our leaders the way it is, the way we feel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. We hope that our technical director will get Madam Lola on the line so that they don't accuse us of having only the men to be speaking. We've given the floor to a lady, but unfortunately she's not she was not online. And so while we are waiting for the technical director to bring on board Madam Lola, I want to recognize also my mentor, Engineer Sab Uduaja, who is the BOT chairman NIDO Germany, and actually the person who trained me in NIDO affairs. I want to also thank Carlo Okafor, who is also from NIDO France, one of the founding fathers of the NIDO movement. And then we recognize all your efforts. I hope as we go into the deliberation for the next 45 minutes or so, you have your floor to, to share your experience with you. So while we are waiting for that line of action, we asked the technical director to allow my auntie and my one and only auntie, Sister Lola, to take the floor. Madam Lola, you have the floor, sir. You have the floor, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
First of all, I'd like to thank my chairman, Honorable Kenneth Bandy, for extending the invitation to me. Well, for the past 10 days, I've been very, very unhappy with what's happening in the country. It's been very, very shameful. And I'm daily in touch with our people at home, with all the youth and even my family. Everybody is scared now. My worry is that it took the president so long to come out to talk. Because if he had come out to talk as a father by Monday or some Monday morning, things will not have escalated this manner. He spoke this evening, but he spoke without empathy for what is happening around him. And as a woman, I feel very sad, especially for those children, as if he has no children of his own. People were injured, people were killed, and he just came on the television to really, I feel pained. And I think our politicians should learn a lesson from this, because it's not the matter of SARS alone. When they call government attention to something, they must act promptly. And SARS has been there for months, but they didn't do anything till it's got to this stage. So they must act proactively in things. We need to tell them about our government. And the politicians should stop taking people for a fool. Look at the food in the warehouse of Lagos State. And now Lagos State said it was something they wanted to give people. Well, if they wanted to give, they should have done a long time ago. Sorry, I'm so emotional about this whole thing. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and my respect to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you very much, Ma. Our technical director, if you have anybody on the line, otherwise we will go to the proper brainstorming for today, which is okay. Before that, we said a statement from any designated individual on the floor. If you raise your hand, please, I will ask the technical director to, at your own discretion, choose one or two persons from the floor, to probably a lady and a man, to address us. Then we'll go into the real brainstorming section. Mr. Amen or Madam Amen, I think she chose you. So if you have the floor, can you please unmute your mic and address the House? You have the floor, sir. And please make it brief.
Okay, thank you. This is morning here in Myanmar. I want to say I appreciate and I thank this privilege for this wonderful meeting that NIDO Worldwide is setting. I'm really pleased to be part of this conversation. I would say I appreciate everyone that has contributed in one way or the other. Everything is in line with what we are also facing as Nigerians. Actually, I just want to let me just go straight to the point. What really happens in Nigeria right now? We're not happy. After all, I'm a youth. At the same time, seeing my fellow youth are dying, it's not fair. It's not fair. And beside that, it took the president for almost 2 weeks to respond. So I will urge the NIDO Diaspora worldwide to make sure that the president, as a father, we have to put our complaint before the NIDCOM, and so that our issues will be addressed very well, because we are in diaspora. Because like somebody was mentioning in this conversation, he said something that it's our time for we, the NIDO diaspora, we should be contributing to the affairs of government in Nigeria, which is true, which is fact. Because if you could see what is going on right now in most especially in Asia here, it's not good. The way we have been treated is not fair. And beside that, and we have a country. So if our leaders are treating our people back there, so how do they expect the people over here to treat us nicely? They won't treat us nicely, because why? They believe that back home we don't have any regard. So they will also see us the same way. So I will urge NIDO Worldwide to come to a very strong conclusion about the diaspora, because we have to have a voice in Nigerian government. We have to have a voice so that our voice will be heard, so that all these things that is going on in Nigeria will not be happening anymore. So I will rest my case for now, but I will say I'm not happy for a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to take 2 weeks to address the situation right now that is going on in Nigeria, and he did not even show any remorse. There is no any sympathy. There is no any as in pain. That pain to show that what is happening, he's not happy with it. So the way he addressed the whole thing, I'm not impressed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I share your sentiment and I share your feeling.
Please, Chair Europe.
You have the floor, sir.
Yeah, please, if I may make a request, I would like for the opportunity for some people from the Americas to have a minute or two on the floor, please.
Yeah, we'll do that, Chair. I was just thinking that in the brainstorming, they can use that 1 or 2 minutes to make their contribution. Okay. So that we can. I actually have some people from Africa and Asia, and I think if we go that line, we might have problem accommodating all of them. Okay, so we have in the line of introduction, we have Resh Anvald ERA. Then after that, we'll have Evelyn. And please, the technical director. After that, now then we'll go into roadmap. And Chair, I think maybe we'll do it this way. Once we go into the brainstorming, you select your individual from America. You make your selection, who and who you want to to contribute.
Yeah, you have that list already.
I have that list already.
Yeah, it's on your text message.
All right, I will do that. Then I will ask Chairman Oshonia to please do the same thing, and Chairman Prof. Ejo would also do the same thing. So you can leave that burden off me, who and who we are going to pick from the crowd. And I can also do the same thing for Europe. Thank you, sir. So Barrister, you have the floor, and after that, Evelyn, please.
Yeah.
Please make it very short.
Yeah, I'll do it very short. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys are hearing me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. A little bit louder.
Okay. So let me make it louder. Is it better?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The issue going on right now in Nigeria is something that many of us in the diaspora have been expecting to happen, because many of us left that country because the situation in the country is not good. And now we are here. I believe that we can make a big change from the diaspora, in the sense that me, as a barrister practicing law in this country, in Germany, we have the right, any senator, any governor, or whoever is in the political power that is depriving our people from the rights that they're supposed to have. If they come here, they will not enjoy their rights in this country. We make sure they go back to where they are coming from and go and sit down there in the mess that they caused themselves. Because these countries they are coming to enjoy were created by human beings like them, people with normal sense. So the issue in Nigeria is a very big issue, complex issue. You cannot count the problems there. Maybe if you start counting them, 2,000, you cannot even count them. So with the political elites, the main problem starts even from the political elites. People will lobby themselves, they pay money to take a form and enter into the parliament, and then they make rules and regulations that only benefits them. They destroy our schools, destroy our roads, destroy our hospitals, and they give themselves so much money that they don't know what to do with it. They come and dump them in abroad, and their children are here going to school and enjoying the facilities here. Before 1979, these universities in Nigeria were compared to even Cambridge University, Cambridge Universities, and Oxford. And today, with a Nigerian certificate, when you come to Germany here, you can only throw it through the window in the plane when you are coming. It's useless because after many, many years, we never believed in education anymore. And these people that are ruling this country, they don't merit it to rule. They don't even know what to rule. They don't even know how to rule. Our president here, Chancellor Angela Merkel, before she came into power, she was 20 years in the party, learning every day how to run a government, how to rule. And people get wet overnight and nobody asks where it comes from. And then we are surprised that there are no rules and regulations. So anybody who says the youths are violating laws, the politicians are the ones that are violating laws in the country, not the youths. They don't keep the laws. They create the laws only for them, and they are enjoying the society, enjoying the country, and they want us to only say what we do, what they want, and not what the people do. In this country where we are today, Kenneth is equally living here. We have three things. The three good things that are functioning here. All the politicians will tell you here, the first thing in our country is the country comes first, number one. The second thing is the people of the country. The third thing is the party. So if you are not ready to do something for the country, you don't need to come to the party at all. The interest of the party is only on the third position. And our press that we have there. In Germany here, the press is considered as the fourth organ of government. After the legislature, executive, judiciary, the fourth one is the press. And the press in Nigeria, when you see them asking questions sometimes, even the children that go to primary school here will not ask those kind of questions. So a lot of things are going wrong there. The youth should continue. We shall support them in any form that we can support them from here. And anybody who is stealing our money, making our young people to die there, people like Obasanjo, Tinubu, they are still alive, Buhari is alive. And many of the people that are born after them, they are dying and going away, they don't care about it. In this country where we are, if a young man dies, even at the age of 60, he's a young person in this country, the whole country will be sad. And say, oh, he has not spent his life. But the ones that are looting the country, they live long and they enjoy the country. The young ones that are coming, they are dying every day. And they don't even care about it, gentlemen. So, Mr. Gwandi has said I should cut it short. I will cut it short.
Thank you, Barrister. We will hold you accountable for your legal advice. And when our youth in Nigeria, when they need representation in international legal process, we will call on you to make sure that your services are available. Thank you, sir. We'll hold you on to that. Thank you very much for that gesture. Madam Evelyn Ibeke, please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, everyone. I think I'll just want to home in on a couple of points. We've seen in the wake of this occurrence how the there's been immense failure on the part of the government. And I think there's been a lot of focus on government. And moving forward, I would like to commend our youth for what they've done. They've come together, and what a lot of people that preceded them have failed to achieve, we've seen them achieve it in a short space of time, and we've seen how much they've collaborated together. My take is that we need to continue to empower our youth. They are the future of the country, and they are filled with so much talent and resources within amongst themselves, that we don't want to see them continue to leave the country. You know, just like we find ourselves, a lot of us in the diaspora find ourselves in search of greener pastures, and we find ourselves contributing to build other people's countries. But we don't want to continue the trend. We want to build a nation where our talents can remain within the country and build the country. And I think the people in diaspora globally needs to start to come together to proactively and look for ways to support this youth, and for them to have visibility among them, and for them to know that they have our support. I think we can consider, establishing some form of organization that specifically supports them, financially, in whichever way that we can offer. And the last thing I want to say is, to continue to promote unity across various, and look beyond those factors that divide us, and look at what we're going through now as a collective problem or issue that faces all of us, and just puts aside our religious differences, cultural differences, ethnic differences, and just believe in the power of unity to get us through this. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. That's a very passionate one. Unity is very paramount, and also we have to bring out the initiative how to support the youth. That takes us to the third to the last point on the agenda, which is actually the core of today's meeting. What we intend to do is action point. I had I had one or two speakers who said we shouldn't, or not the speakers in the chat, that we should not concentrate about the past, but look at the present. And they are saying, what can we do? What concrete plans can we do? So the next section, we're going to have a maximum of 2 minutes. Please, I will put up the time. And after 2 minutes, I will gently but firmly, cut you off. Give us a concrete solution. What can we do to come up with an action plan? So the next segment is an action point, and we're starting with American delegates. And the first person to have the floor is Mr. Isaac Enyang. So please, Mr. Isaac Enyang, you have 2 minutes to lay a concrete plan of action, what we should do as a way forward. Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Oh, thank you. My name is Isaac Enyang, the chairman of NIDO USA, GOD. I'm just caught in a limbo here, but I think the first thing we need to do is to ensure that each country sets up a youth wing, that is a professional youth committee for each of the countries. Then we need to ensure that this program will integrate through the continental body into the worldwide, because right now we do not have any youth program worldwide. We need to ensure that each of the continents, each of the countries sets up their youth program, then rolls into the continent, then rolls into the worldwide. We think the worldwide needs to open up to make sure that the worldwide integrates the nation into the structure. By integrating the nation into the structure, then there will be a proper dialogue within the nation and the continent and worldwide. Also, we would like the same structure for the youth. The other aspect that I think we need to look into is how do we link up to the youth in Nigeria? How can we start economic development, economic empowerment program in Nigeria, not as individual, but as NIDO continental, NIDO worldwide. I am not sure currently we have any structure in that area. I think we should put more energy, set up committees to ensure that we create a very solid strategic structure that will be able, that we can use to move our agenda forward. The final point I would like to put is that I will encourage that the worldwide should not shy away to criticize Nigerian government. Openly, we are not a political forum. We should be able to express our discomfort with our government. But of recent, it looks like we try to play to the gallery. We do not want to speak the truth. But right now, worldwide needs to wake up, get a lot of press coverage, and speak to the people in Nigeria so that they will know that we have a voice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for keeping 2 minutes, 15, 20 seconds. Thank you so much for that. Noted. Youth Wing committee have to be set up, integrated into the NIDO worldwide, reach out to our youths in Nigeria, and then, in that line of action. It's well noted, sir, and I'm sure that the NIDO worldwide will take that into consideration. Mr. Z. Naberi, please, you have the floor from NIDO America.
Yes, thank you, everyone. I appreciate this, the organizers of this meeting, NIDO Worldwide. And yes, my contribution. I am the Public Relations Director for the continent of North and South America. Yes, my contribution. The problem we're dealing with now is a generational outburst. It's been occurring. It's a traumatic generational outburst that have been inside our youth. So I think the way forward for us NIDO members is to figure a way to bring back hope for our youth. They are hopeless. They don't see the leaders as leaders anymore because they've been deceived left and right. And this is an outburst making both sides of the party know that, yes, the youths are tired. We have university graduates. Before everybody says it's academics, people have to go to school. We have university graduates that are jobless. Now we now have youths that didn't even go to university. Some didn't even go to high school, and they are jobless. Now we have an outburst of people that have graduated, hopeless. People that have not graduated, hopeless. And the leaders are increasing their salaries, which me and you and every one of us in this forum knows that the salary of one senator in Nigeria is enough to create a job for at least 1,000 youths. So we in the diaspora, like somebody earlier said, we should push for us to be able to vote, because we are not going to take side with that politics that they're doing there and doing hush, keeping quiet to evil. The youths want us to come and back them up so that they can have hope. So I'm glad we're having this meeting. And I pray we not only talk about it here, that we fight to implement it. here are the strategies. All United States NIDO members now are pushing for their congressmen to take this up to the Congress. So United States can put sanctions against the Nigerian government if they don't listen. Now, I am pleading with Europe and other part of the world, NIDO and other part of the world to bug their congressmen and women. So if this becomes a worldwide issue, the Nigerian government have no choice but to listen. No country wants sanctions because sanctions crumble country. And our youth in Nigeria need hope, need us to support them now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for keeping to time. We appreciate your comment. Collective action. We must participate in Nigerian affairs. We need to reach out to the country of our residents and make sure that we put the parliamentarians under pressure for the threat of sanctions to make sure that we make a right change in Nigeria. Well appreciated, sir. Mr. Flip Eto, sir, you have the floor. 2 minutes, sir, please.
2 minutes, I'll keep within 2 minutes, I can assure you that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, very quickly, I like us, because we're talking about actions now, so I'm not going to whatever has been happening. We should first and foremost support the movement by the youth, because the youth I consider is the brave set. All of them together make up the brave set fighting for all of us who have been moribund, who have not been able to speak. So whatever support they need, we should give to them. Even if it's financial, we should do something about it. So we should put our mouth where the whole thing actually is. Let's put our best foot forward. Having said that, I like to be very direct concerning today. I like the speech that was given by Honorable Kenneth Bandy, Chairman Europe. And one thing I'd like to suggest very strongly is that we make our demands to the government of Nigeria in line with the things that Chairman Bandy read at that time. We can modify it whatever we want, add 1 or 2 things, and send that strong message to Nigeria. Having said that, the other thing is a question for me. When the letter goes and the government does nothing about it, what action is open to us? And for me, my clear way about that is we should get pragmatic ways of engaging the international organizations. Let's get the UN involved. Let's get the AU involved. And let's get men who can prevail upon the nation. This is not just talking about countries, international organizations that have clout, that can do anything that will bring about the action that we're talking about. Otherwise, if that advocacy is not there, and we make our speech and send our strongly worded letter, nothing happens, we'll be going back in circles. We'll be like somebody on a treadmill, doing a lot of work and yet moving nowhere. So that's my strong suggestion. Let's send the message very clearly in line with what Chairman Bandy wrote. I'm very much in support of that. We can add a few things, but if we don't speak, we'll just be lame dogs. And after speaking, let's get the real advocacy that will take us forward and make the necessary impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Eto, for that very, very elaborate summary. International collaboration is very, very important. Advocacy is very, very essential. And then again, collaborating with what the last speaker has said, we need to really jointly, put our heads together to make sure that the maximum pressure is put in place. You can count on my support, count on Europe's support. If America, Asia, and Oceania are all on board, I'm sure that we'll get that letter across as quickly as possible and follow up with those demands you've mentioned. Thank you so much, sir, for that powerful contribution.
Thanks.
The next person is Engineer. We know you to be a very eloquent, long speaker. So please, we're asking you to keep it within the 2 minutes range.
Yeah, please. Yeah, please, Chair, please. For equity. Yeah, for equity. Dr. Yusuf is here from Brazil. And Danladi Hussein is from here for Belize. Please give them time to talk, please.
Okay, let's please note that down because of the technicality, so that we don't. They already put the next speakers on the.
Okay,
on the forum.
You have the list. You have the list.
Okay, no, I maybe she didn't find them because I sent her the list. There must be something along the road why he didn't put them online. Maybe they enter with a different name. You can please confirm that if they are the same name, they are appearing.
Yeah.
Okay, do I have the floor now?
Yeah, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, my chairman. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, my able leaders from various continents, the leaders of Nigerians in diaspora. It's a pleasure to be here. We all are crying. We all are mourning. We are looking for action points. I go straight into the action points by way of saying what caused what. First of all, what caused the bloodshed? Bloodshed was caused by the provocation in form of curfew. Why was Sanwo-Olu forced to declare a curfew? Because Sanwo-Olu did not have a local security apparatus. Why doesn't he have a local security apparatus? Because the 1999 Constitution does not allow regional policing. So the main cause of this problem is 1999 Constitution. Next, why we are the youth protesting? Because they don't have jobs. Why don't they have jobs? Because there is no electricity and there is no infrastructure. Why is there no electricity and no infrastructure? If these two things are not there, there are no investments by our people here, by foreign companies. They want to invest, they want to employ our youth, but when they come, they find no electricity, they find no infrastructure. Why are these things not there available? Because infrastructure and electricity are in the exclusive list of the federal government. And for the past 54 years, the federal government has been unable to carry out its obligation according to these 68 items in the exclusive list. So how do we get this thing solved? We have to get all these 68 lists out of exclusive list of the federal government, which means the 1999 Constitution has to be brought down. We are talking about solutions. What I'm suggesting are concrete solutions. Please let it be in our communique to dissolve those exclusive lists of the 1999 Constitution. We have to bring down the 1999 Constitution. That means, are we going to have chaos? No. We had about 4 constitutions, regional constitutions, before they were torpedoed. Those regional constitutions were working very, very well. So we have to go back to the regional constitutions and use them to build now a new constitution. The current NAS cannot produce a new constitution. So let it be clear in our communique. The 1999 Constitution is the cause of this bloodshed. That is why our youth are crying, because they don't have jobs. We need to provide them jobs, okay? So absence of local policing, regional policing, absence of proper training for the military. Why should the governor call him military instead? Because he doesn't have anything, doesn't have any security apparatus to use. So, and our military are not being well trained. I was talking to a soldier today, and he told me, yeah, when I'm in that situation and I see a civilian coming on me, I will shoot. I will empty my magazine in his belly. I said, is that the way you are trained? He didn't answer me, but implicitly, that's the way they are trained. Now, if we have local, regional security apparatus, they will be trained differently. Another issue that caused this problem, ladies and gentlemen, is the absence of, the presence of people in localities in Nigeria, but who are actually non-Nigerians and who have no patriotic allegiance to Nigeria. We saw many of them being used as thugs to cause trouble during this period of peaceful demonstration by our beloved youth. We saw the video footage of so many of these people. They were imported to Lagos, they were imported to the south. I don't know from where they came. And instead of joining the youth to do peaceful demonstration, they were being brought in to cause trouble. That means there are people in Nigeria today who have no patriotic allegiance to Nigeria. Those people should be sent back to where they came from. So these are the things that should, in my opinion, they should feature in our communique. The 1999 Constitution is the main cause of the problem of Nigeria for the past 5.5 decades. That Constitution must be brought down.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yes, well noted. You mentioned the constitution, the issue of constitution reform, or basically being brought down. Job creation is also an important issue. Infrastructures and investments an important issue. Regional policing is an important issue. We hope and pray that you will help us to make sure that we craft this communique to reflect this excellent point you mentioned.
I would help to do that.
Thank you so much.
This is 8 items on the exclusive list should be demolished from the Constitution.
Thank you, sir. Well noted. Honorable Kalu Okafor, you have the floor, sir. Please, 2 minutes.
Yeah. Hello, do you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Let me see. Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear. We can hear you, sir.
Okay, okay. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, this is Kalu Okafor, residing in Paris, France. I think all protocols have been observed. I don't want to go back starting that have been said. I think the most important thing now, we all have seen what is happening, and the most important thing is to take proper actions. Like the speaker before said, it's not just sending out a communique. Sending a communique first, of course, we have to be really behind the youth that are, protesting peacefully. It is happening. Well, you people have been known about the yellow singlet in France that happened for almost 54 weeks in France consecutively. There were buildings were being bombed down and everything, but the forces, even the police and the armed forces were on the street trying to protect the life of those who were, manifesting, protesting. So it is not unusual for what is happening in Nigeria. It is a normal thing. So, but the people that have been elected supposed to protect the lives of the youth, and they have not done it. I think they have failed woefully. So for us first, the first message, like it has been said, is to really send out a warning that we are behind what is happening, because the youth are doing what we, the elders, couldn't do. So we've got to support them. The second thing is now, how do we create an environment for us to intervene to help? We can propose to be an intermediary between the youth and the government, the NIDO worldwide. Because we have to propose our services. But the problem is this: when you don't have a democracy in that country, when we, the diasporans outside, cannot even vote, if democratically you cannot come in to intervene to make things change, we have solutions. In terms of education, we can create jobs, but how many of you have your own little experience? When you go there to create a job, to create whatever you want to do, you are frustrated and when you run away, you go back to your base. So if you don't find an environment for you to intervene, to help economically, socially, and otherwise, how do you go about it? So that is I think the first thing for us to look for a diagnosis. What are the origin? What brought about this protest? It's just the end of stance. It's just the last straw that broke the female camel's back. All these things, you have to do a thorough diagnosis. We have to find out really the real things. In one of their manifestos, unfortunately, I couldn't find it. I had it 2 days before. The 8th point they pointed out. Of course, what Udaja said about changing the constitution, about going for a sort of a referendum. Many of them, there are many things they listed out, and I'll try to find it out and send it to you so that we try to maybe let us not create more things on the ground. Go behind, they have their own manifesto. They're up to 7 or 8 points they showed on their manifesto. Very basic things they are looking for. But for us to intervene as diasporans, do we have the ways to intervene? Because that's the problem. Let us not be dogs without teeth. Because that's the problem. So the former speaker said it. How do we come to make the government bend and then come to the table of negotiation?
Thank you, sir.
That is the real problem we have to look at first. Diagnosis, look at the problem and articulate under that and look for solutions to intervene. It's not only sending money home that we do every year.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
That's just my own point.
Okay. Just for the clarities, we'll take 3 more speakers from Europe. We'll go back to America for the remaining 1 individual we missed out. And we'll move to Oceania and Asia. And there's some 2, 3 youths that have indicated their interest. They are insisting that we are talking about them and they have a right to be heard also. So, and I totally agree with them. And so we take the floor, Honorable Chibuzo, and after that, Honorable Vivian and Honorable Ovot. Honorable Vivian, your mic is closed.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm speaking from Nigeria, but Vivian is a member of NIDO Europe, Netherlands chapter. I joined the other well-wishers to condemn the action the government took with regards to the youth protesters in Nigeria. There was no need to unleash terror on them by shooting and killing most of them. And up to now, following also the president's broadcast, there has been no apology to that effect. So I think the first thing we need to do is what we're doing now, coming together as diaspora community to speak with one voice, to condemn the action, and to have a direct link with the federal government, because who wears shoes knows where it pains. We are diasporans. For some reasons, we've been out of the country, and it is issues like this that makes most of us go out, to a more settled and peaceful country. Not necessarily the economic factor, as most people refer. Yes, it is one of them, but at least the security is also a very important factor. And with what is happening now, we know that the security in this country cannot be trusted, and our leaders are not doing much to do it. So if we all come together and do the communique in one voice and say, we don't like the way youths are treated, and the youths were treated in the last weeks, and we don't like the silence from both the federal government and some state governments as well. That's what really infuriated, and giving room for that, because what it has done is it has demoralized some of the innocent youths that came out and had good cause. Their friends were killed. Nobody recognized them. They allowed the hooligans or the hoodlums to come in between them, and thereby looting people things. So because of their sincere passion for their country, they wouldn't want to continue, because if they continue now and the looters continue as well, it is difficult to separate which one is which. So some might be withdrawn, and some might be withdrawn for life, in as much as we know that, yes, they've made a statement, but at least we have to come up. Our voices need to be heard for them to know that they are being encouraged, that we understand with them, and we understand their losses. We understand the abandonment. We understand whatever factor that was meted to them, which was inhuman. I think that we need to seek, because I saw some videos trending this afternoon that policemen were like, I think it's hairless appeal or something, if it is true, because the social media can doctor a lot of things. So in that video, they were saying the policemen were training and they were going to kill them, we're going to waste them, things like that. Let them come close and all that. So the war fronts, not only with the youth, but with every citizen. So the police need to be retrained. And also in the Nigerian constitution, the youth were not well captured, in terms of protection and all that. So we also need to ask for that as well. So with all this, I think if we all do this, we'll be, at least making a little bit of headway, in this recent issue. So I thank each and every one of you for at least abandoning what you're doing and having the passion to come here this evening to talk about this. I'm really, really delighted and humbled to be among you. Thank you.
Constitution mentioned, youth again mentioned, training and retraining mentioned. I pray we'll be able to capture that in that communique. Thank you so much, Madam. Honorable Obot, you have the floor. And after that, we'll conclude the last session from the US America. Our Madam Technical Director, please take note.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chair. I think it's been great hearing from the other speakers. So, yeah, I think some of the things I wanted to mention have already been mentioned, but I'll just itemize a few and focus on the action points. I think I will encourage those of us who did not hear the president speak, I think, to do that, because that will have given us some background as to some of the things we're saying here. Now, to what extent can NIDO worldwide facilitate the engagement of youth organizations with the Nigerian government? This is something that can be done immediately and actually is required. There's so much distrust and fake news in the air right now in that country. I think the diaspora stands in a privileged position to be a neutral party where, at least with integrity, we can facilitate what is going on down there. The goal being to have an agreeable action plan, which will facilitate to being implemented, in the near term. The other reason for that facilitation is a clear channel of escalation on matters affecting youth. Right now, everybody's just shouting on the streets, and there are different things going on all over the country. The youth are very weak. There is no structure. Every government, every authority is treating them differently. The other consideration with that regard is establish a secure and safe environment to constructively discuss the future of what the youth wants. This could be in the form, maybe NIDO worldwide facilitating a kind of social media portal, be it on Facebook or be it a new website, where at least some of these grievances can be communicated and put down instead of just being shouted in the air on the street. The second point I would like to point is to what extent can NIDO facilitate in the involvement of foreign international bodies, a point which has been mentioned earlier. But I think instead of waiting until trouble, we can already identify how we can leverage our position to advise and educate the Nigerian government organs in policing, civilized methods of civil control, security in general. It has been mentioned earlier, capacity building in terms of security, which is grossly missing in many aspects. Okay, so the other third point I want to mention is to what extent can the diaspora play neutral roles as in facilitating things like Red Cross support? We see that some of these people don't get basic first aid when our youths, as I know, due to running away, they have caught serious, even gunshot wounds. These are neutral things which NIDO can facilitate, making sure that the Red Cross is, or whatever party is available there to support these young people who are trying to air their opinions. Now, more than ever before, the urgency for the formation of the NIDCOM board is very, very elaborate here. For us to be able to contribute effectively, we need to have some foot on the ground. And shouting from across the sea is different from if we're sitting down there talking to some of those officials face to face. And the NIDCOM was set up exactly for this kind of situation where we can, provide things and be effective in what we have to offer. I also want to add, I think the chairman already mentioned a list of things which we wanted, but I think I didn't quite get it. There should also be compensation for families of some of these killed protesters. Yeah, of course, killed policemen, but even the killed protesters. These are young people going out to share their views, and some of them come from anonymous homes somewhere. And I think the government, we should hold the government responsible to say something about this. And last but not least, I think we're talking about projects. Many of the projects we're thinking about are mainly commercial, large-scale projects, housing, and things like that. I think with this scenario, we should, also take a backseat. Also look at youth-centered projects, things that would, meet them in the short term to help them at least, come out of their gutters and come out of their mindsets. Some of them are quite depressed and things like that. Nothing is too little. So I have quite a number of ideas, but because of time, I cannot go through them. But I just leave my submission for you for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well noted. We'll make sure that all opinion is reflected one way or the other. Yeah, we'll bring in Darlington to complete the Circle of America. Then after that, we'll bring in Professor Ejogu to conclude the Circle of Asia. And then we have only one slot for Africa and 2 slots for a youth. Then we can close up that section. Honorable Darlington, you're online, please.
Thank you very much, Honorable Bandi. Thank you for putting this together, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for making our time for us to sit down and talk about the issues as they concern our country.
We are particularly facing a very difficult moment, not only because of the coronavirus pandemic, but with the issues taking place in our country. And we as diasporans cannot just sit down and keep a blind eye to what is going on. So I think a lot has been said by almost everybody. I think we're almost saying the same thing because the problems are very peculiar and we're very familiar with them. So, but one of the things that I want to suggest that we do, amongst the other things that I will say, is that there is the need for us to really engage the international community and let them know, what is going on in the country. If we're able to do this in our respective countries and, alert these governments, the respective governments that serious human rights violations are taking place in our country and that, those in authority should be held to account for these things, held accountable, I think it will be a very, very, very great step, to start from. And, we should be looking at influencing our position with government. Diaspora was set up by government to work collaboratively, but, somehow we've not played key roles in what is happening in our country. Many of the speakers have said, our constitution is moribund, is old, it's not serving its purpose, so these are the kind of things. We live in countries with very good examples. Why can't we borrow the leaves from these places and then transfer them to government in Nigeria and, make sure that there is a follow-up to see that these things are implemented? We've talked on, friendship basis, on, said a lot of things on face value, but let us, see for the first time that, there are affirmative actions that let us be more assertive. Those things that we demand from government, we're not asking for them to do anything which is out of the extraordinary. We want a country with a conducive environment where, equity and justice will reign. Our youths are there. Nigeria has 200 million people. We should be one of the greatest countries in the world. So we should bring these things to fore and, make sure that we demand them and that they are implemented. There has to be a shift in paradigm. We don't have to be, on the other side, always, trying to genuflect and, listening to what, government has to offer to us. We have opinions, we have good ideas, these things should be taken forward and make sure that they implement them. The diaspora bill has been there for so long, so now is the time for us to push for it. Now is the time for us to push for it. They have to approve it, and so that we have the right as Nigerians to, to carry out our political rights. And not to take so much of the time. As diaspora, in respect of what has happened, I think that we should all collaboratively put out communiques or paid international media to express our sentiments, our feelings of what has happened. We should put, paid advertisement to say that we're mourning, that we're hurt, we're pained by the killings in Nigeria, and that it should stop. Every Nigerian life matters, as they say. It's not because you're not the son of a rich man or a famous politician, but all those that have been killed should be compensated. Their families have to be compensated, and we should let the world know that we're mourning for the souls that have been lost in this process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Judge, for that eloquent summary. I pray that the continental chairs, like you all know, in the next 3 weeks, I'll be stepping down as NIDO Europe chair. But I hope that the remaining continental chair will carry this kind of NIDO worldwide town hall meeting. One can see that it's absolutely very, very important that we'll continue to communicate, and you have eloquently summarized it beautifully. I think we're looking up to you and people like Chairman Obed and the remaining.
Wendy, I'm on the line. Chair Wendy, I'm on the line.
Yes, you will. After Professor Jogu, our Chair Africa, you come on board. So Professor Joe, we have the floor, sir. Please unmute yourself. Professor Ojo, you're still on. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
You have the floor, sir.
Okay. Well, I think I would like to repeat what the nice suggestions that others have made. But I would like to emphasize a few things. We are in a very difficult situation. In the first instance, the issue of changing the constitution into regional constitution or confederacy or whatever name, better autonomy, is a long-term goal. So like when we are going to flesh out our strategy, which we might mention a few in the communique, we would like to, put out the first lines of thought in the strategy we are going to follow in the short term, medium term, and then long term, for us to eventually help in repositioning our country. So we have to classify our action plans into short term, mid-term, and then long term. Perhaps in the long term, that of eventually achieving autonomy for greater constructive competition, that's what I call it, for the various regions of Nigeria, states of Nigeria, as the case may be. The constructive competition will actually bode well for the entire country called Nigeria as it used to be in the 50s and 60s, where the regions were all racing and developing and having a very healthy rivalry. So that's in trying to plan out the long-term autonomy we're talking about. It should not be done in the spirit of rancor. There's a lot of persuasion to be done because some people listening, when they hear restructuring, there are a lot of things that comes to people's mind, unfortunately. But then when you see a situation whereby the land use decree is being discriminatorily applied, you have to bring those to the fore. For example, where gold is being exploited in this country, the business is not controlled by Abuja in any case. And yet when we want to control the oil resources, we talk about the land use decree where everything belongs to the federal government. But I don't see any centralization as far as the solid minerals that are exploiting that are concerned, including tin, bauxite, and all kinds of very, very important minerals that the world needs, that we see that some parts of the federation that are not the Niger Delta could actually contribute to the national purse. So we can as well mention this, bring this to because most Nigerians don't know about that. A few weeks ago, we read about one of the the central bank planning to buy billions worth in gold nuggets and gold bar from a certain state. And I was like, wow, wow. So I wish the NNPC was buying something from Akwa Ibom, gold, buying from NIDO, buying from Delta and all that. I think we will have less agitation so that every region of the country will develop at their own pace. Look at, for example, what resulted in the banning of SARS, so to say. Some portion of the country told me, they needed SARS, which was a legitimate demand as well. So, which means they were inadvertently, unconsciously making a case for autonomy as far as security was concerned. Some parts say we don't need SARS, some say, well, we need it. And then, so the parts that say they need it, are you going to support community police? Are you going to support state police? So you can't have it both ways. So those contradictions are what we are going to use to persuade, not force the issue. When we bring out such contradictions in our short-term engagement with Nigeria, it becomes very clear. And then when you place that logic side by side or some other logic, it becomes very clear that some minds will begin to be changed. Even those minds that believe that when people start about state police or restructuring, they are trying to harm some certain parts of the country, which is far from the truth. So that's one thing. So again, in one of the shortest term plan will have to be how to engage the youth very well. We have to find a way of making an immediate impact in the next few months and then for the youth to feel our presence. Some people have made suggestions, so I wouldn't like to repeat that. We could have more suggestions by the time we start to brainstorm in our various committees. But in the shortest possible time, one of our targets is going to be how do we affect the youths in whatever form they have to feel our presence. That's one of the shortest possible times we have to be. In the medium term, well, if we regard maybe 2-3 years as medium, we have to find a way of getting the National Assembly and the state assemblies and whoever is necessary to make sure that the diasporas can vote in 2023. If we regard medium term to be something that we can achieve in 2-3 years' time, then obviously that is a very step forward if we can achieve that. Because with that vote to diaspora, with millions of us in diaspora, we can cast our lot one way or the other. And then if eventually we want to change the constitution to some kind of confederacy or autonomy, then that is also achievable. And we might even find that by the time the diaspora is affecting very much the choice of political leadership in the country, we might find out that there won't be any agitation for regional autonomy because the country is now being run better. So we, as I said, we have to be very strategic, the shortest possible term, the medium term, and the long-term things. So thank you very much, so that I don't exceed my time.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
So much. Thank you so much. And yes, you actually, in fact, your statement would have come at the last so that we can use that as a summary, because that actually give an input into what exactly we've been discussing since. But all the same, we take that into consideration, the short term, the mid-term, and the long term, and as well as other necessary input we have to put. Thank you, Prof, for that input. Chair Africa,
thank you very much.
You have the floor, but please remember you're keeping it 3 minutes at this section and not more, so that we can gradually round up. We want to close this meeting in the next 10 minutes before it starts getting too long. Thank you, Honorable Chair Africa. You have the floor, sir. Your phone is mute, sir. Chair Kinsman, NIDO Africa, your phone is mute. Okay, if we're having problem getting Chairman Kinsman online, can you please, okay. Can you please get Shay online, please?
Okay. I'm on the line. Am I speaking?
Okay, you are now. Okay, we take Shay, please. We take Honorable Kinsman, and we'll come back to you. Okay.
Okay. So thank you, Chair. As I was saying, sorry for my not being on time. Some issues of addressing medias later came on board. We just rounded up. So I want to be brief by saying that it is a wonderful development today's meeting, and I'm using this opportunity to say that NIDO Africa is highly in support of resolutions that we are going to reach today. And besides, I would like us to consider a situation where the results that we are reaching today will be transcended physically to the lawmakers, if not the presidency. Apart from communique we may issue out, we have things like delegations that is going to make a presentation to the presidency, and at the same time visit the two chambers and indicate down our decisions here today. Why this is very much important is that I remember in the course of media representations we did today in African continent, for example, most journalists are reminding us through their question that once Nigeria is boiling, the continent is boiling. So it touches me much when I had the representatives of different countries in Africa reminding us Nigerians that the way we handle our issue reflects to how they handle theirs or what comes upon them. So that's where we have to be more critical in situations on ground now. because the next thing, sporadically, as you know, this continent, the next border will pick it up, and from there, it's all over. So, want us to engage our leaders one-on-one from the diaspora. Let's not limit on paper communique. Let's have a physical descent to the nation and make an engagement the way we did when we were fighting for NIDCOM bill and whatever. We were engaging them, and that is where we succeeded, despite the way it was deviated today, and that deviation is still for us not being on ground to engage. A lot of continents here have been doing their best, but we need to do it unanimously. So what I want to make sure that I have in what we are discussing today is that we need a physical engagement, that will accompany the communique that will come out of today's meeting. And subsequently, when we meet at the Continental NIDO Worldwide meetings, I will still suggest that a type of today's meeting be held upon, even if it's once in a month, so that we'll be having a wider house in terms of brainstorming and before coming to conclusions in ideas. So I would like to end it here so that others will contribute. Thank you once again from Africa, Dr. Kinsman.
Thank you, Chair. We listen very carefully. Delegation, physical delegation is important. Frequency of meeting is important, as well as doing all the necessary lobby just in the format of NIDCOM. Yes, I hope our experts who will put the communique together will be able to reflect that in our final draft. Thank you so much for finding time to join us in spite of the difficulties in African communication. And so we are moving over to our youth in the house. I hope you are not so old because you look bigger than I expected. But all the same, your face is looking really, really youthful. So I hope you belong to that category. So you have the floor, sir, to address us. You have been listening to us. We're talking about you and your generation, and probably we're also stepping out of line. We don't know. So we'll give you the floor to let you make your own assessment of all what you've been hearing since.
Okay, thank you very much again. And of course, you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm not too far away from the youth, but at the same time, I'm not too far away from the much older ones. So I think I caught a very good divide to speak on both sides of the conversation. But I would start off first by introducing myself. I'm Sahid Adelaide by name, and I represent NIDO local chapter Atlanta and of course the continent of Americas. Thank you to each and every one of you that actually facilitated this and made this happen. I think I would like to pick up from that. This has actually shown that NIDO actually can work and can do things. So I'm using this opportunity as one of those who've actually been a part of the processes, been observing, had questions about NIDO and almost lost confidence, to actually say to the entire leadership across the entire world that this has shown that we can do things together, make it work, and please let's not relent from this. Beyond that, I want to also use the opportunity on behalf of the Nigerian youths in Nigeria to say thank you to each and every one of you. I mean, they're not here, they're not able to speak out, but the fact that you made this happen shows your interest and your concerns for them. And I'm saying on their behalf, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Also on behalf of the entire Nigerian young professionals and youths, also in the diaspora, I mean, there's been pockets of protests going on all over the world, and it's really been facilitated by the youths. Majority of them are not even members of NIDO, but a few local NIDO chapters all over the place have been aligning with these entities, and they've been welcoming and been supportive as well and embracing the verse. So I'm also saying thank you to you all on their behalf, and please let's keep the mission going. Now, I did identify a few things that I'll just run through it as fast as I can, which is the way forward in my opinion. In one, inclusion of NIDO members at all levels of government back in Nigeria is extremely important. I mean, from the last speaker, he did mention something about us not being physically on ground, and that's really very clear because so long as we're not physically representing ourselves in terms of diasporans who live here, we have to appoint folks who will just go to Nigeria to fulfill certain roles for a couple of years and then return back to diaspora. But the point is they understand the diaspora. So it's extremely important to have diasporans within the local, state, federal, and importantly, NIDCOM leadership in Nigeria. Second, we need to also push for a reform building on what the youth right now has put forward before the government. We need to push for reform and age restriction on certain political offices in Nigeria, inclusion of also youth in some of this office to be held. We need to also call for public hearing of public service orders. For us to be able to have an efficient government, we need those who are not necessarily at the very top of public services, but also the staff, to begin to understand how important it is to put the citizens first before themselves. So we need to start encouraging public, even maybe on a monthly basis, no matter how low their ranking is, public hearing of public service orders needs to be encouraged, and NIDCOM can actually, the diaspora can drive this. We need to also build a strong alliance with our local host countries. The youths have done the best that they can do in Nigeria. They've drawn attention. Now it's only the international organization, the Nigerian diasporas, that can really affect change, because again, the same circle of people that are in the legislative office, who are also in the judiciary office, who are in the executive office, and so long as they do not have representation there, chances are that nothing would be done. Things will go back to status quo. So for diasporas, we need to really facilitate immediately our alliance with our host political groups to pressure our government. We need to clamp down also, please take note of this. We need to clamp down on private sector establishments in Nigeria. The private sector are not immune of this. We keep focusing on the public sector, but a whole lot of these private sectors are actually behind the reasons why the politicians and some of these public orders actually do exactly what it is they're actually doing. So we need, again, to clamp down on private sector establishment, especially the international ones who are actually doing businesses in Nigeria, to do more also about our local youth programs. We need, a majority of us understand what STEM is. We need to put a mandate on these entities for them to actually set up STEM programs and for us to follow it up. We need to build also a communication and crisis management team for the nation, so we don't have to wait on the Nigerian government to start doing damage control of our image, like what's going on right now. This should be the responsibility of the diaspora, to start communicating with the diaspora host countries to actually, redeem our nation and also clean up our name. In addition to that, we also need NIDO worldwide must also appoint duly vetted representatives of the organization to facilitate all of this and keep an open debrief channel to NIDO members in the diaspora. We need to make sure our very low grassroots, members see exactly what the world is doing, what NIDO Global is doing, what our leaders and reps are actually doing to boost more morale and really have them more committed. We need NIDO worldwide also should begin to build a post-resolution cleanup and financial impact plan for the citizens and the young adults. That's something we can start working on right now, that the youth will see that, these folks were actually not physically present, but they thought about us and they came physically to start helping in the cleanup, after all of this is actually over. We also need to make a global call and campaign for the diaspora. That's in addition, following, of course, that cleanup exercise. NIDO can champion the diaspora call for funds to go assist in actually doing this, and the campaign would actually serve that. We have social medias now. We can run this campaign for the next 1 month, and you will be amazed to see the turnout of Nigerians in the diaspora to actually follow this through. In addition to that, of course, use this medium to speak also to other African countries who are close allies of ours, to really begin to foster relationship and actually use that to also protect our brothers and sisters who are in Africa, because so long as Nigeria is a part of Africa and Africa is not strong enough, that international continents will not see us in the good light. So NIDO worldwide can actually do that to really get us all together. On that note, again, I'd love to say thank you so much for everything you guys have done. We appreciate you all, and we rest assured we're in support of everything you're doing. Thank you.
Well, I can tell you, I'm not clapping just because I want to impress you. The chat is speaking for you. And I think Mr. Opadijo said 100% in agreement. Mr. Alex said, you nail it. Mr. Ngozi said, so I think we are glad that we reserved the last spot for you so that you can bear your mind. And yes, you talked about the appreciation, which is very, very appreciated by also by the NIDO worldwide, that you also you see that way. And I hope the Nigerians, they also see that way, that we care for them. And that's why we're able to stay almost 3 hours on the line to make sure that we discuss about them. You're talking about taking the youth into consideration, which is actually the focal point why we're here. You're talking about the public hearing. I totally agree with you. that the private sector should be held accountable. I also agree with you. Talk about global alliance, which is actually something that they've mentioned here over and over again. So I think you can see that we're actually going all in one direction. So thank you for that eloquent, powerful speech. That actually it brings us basically to a very fine landing for this meeting. The last on the agenda is the keywords from an outline for a global diaspora communique. It is quite very clear that we have all nailed it. We've taken a summary in between, and the key points are just more than enough for us to work on. And so on this note, fellow great diasporan, I'm not giving the vote of thanks yet. I want to thank all my diaspora continental cheerleaders that has given me the opportunity and the privilege to host this meeting without their permission. Of course, we are sure I cannot do that. And they have also actually spoken eloquently, expressing their mind. And also, NIDO has demonstrated something today, that NIDO is not only about NIDO members, but about the interest of all Nigerians in diaspora, youth, adult, and different professional organizations. And I'm glad that the different professional organizations have taken that opportunity, to air their mind and to demonstrate to the government, to the Nigerian government, that united we stand. We are the diaspora of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Not only NIDO, not CANUC, not any other organization, but the diaspora, Nigerian Diaspora Organization. And I'm glad that we have actually proven that today. So before we take the vote of thanks from Dr. Paul Eke, I will use the opportunity to ask us to please, on behalf of all the youth that they've been murdered, killed in Nigeria by the security agents, that we should take 1 minute silence in honor of all those people who lost their life during this patriotic demonstration of Nigerian youth. Like one of the speakers said, the things we've not been able to achieve in the past 20 years, our youth has been able to do that in the past 10 years. And so on behalf of the NIDO Nigerians in Diaspora Organization worldwide, we want to take a 1 minute silence for our youth. And after that, we'll call on Paul Eke to give us a vote of thanks. So the 1 minute silence starts now. May the soul of our youths and may the soul of all the departed Nigerian heroes and compatriots rest in perfect peace in Jesus' name. Dr. Paul Eke, you have the floor for the vote of thanks, and after that, we'll take the national anthem to close this section. And I thank everybody who have been part of this organization, this part of this meeting, and I will give the vote of thanks to our chair, Paul Eke.
Okay, thank you all, the diasporas, NIDO worldwide. We are quite fortunate, irrespective of the incident happening in Nigeria, our homeland. Our coming together this evening proves that we still the light bearer. In addition to the massive fund we keep contributing to steer the country, we are equal to the task. We should rally together, not just coming up with communique, as some of the colleagues have said, but step up with action. So this is an unfortunate incident that is so painful and should never happen again in this age. So I kept saying that the solution to all these problems in Nigeria requires integration of rule of law into the main Nigerian leadership and all institutions. Until this is done, unfortunately, fixing one unit or department will not help us solve these problems. So my recommendation as part of the concluding remark is that we focus so much on law enforcement, because until we get this thing properly, as it is done in advanced or developing countries, there's no way this problem will stop. So it is important now that after the communique and every other thing, if we consider a follow-up action like a committee so we could work with them to see how we could now work with various leadership, the 3 tiers of government, and all institutions of leadership to see how we get these things done. This might require cumbersome legislative aspect of it, and it requires constitutional amendment, as Honorable Engineer Saab have said in Germany. But we really need to get it right. Until this is done, we might see this repeating again. So let's find a way and set up a committee to follow up this action so we can bring this permanent solution and end all this thing and get new Nigeria we're all looking for. So thank you all for coming together. And we look forward to probably convene a follow-up meeting because this needs a lot of action. Thank you and have a fruitful evening.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much for that concluding part. Before we take the national anthem, I want to thank our technical director. And I made bold to say she's a youth leader in Germany. And her name is Vivian. Vivian is a youth leader, and she has been a one-man team behind the speakers and panelists. So our appreciation to Vivian for this fantastic job. We keep proving that our youths are the future of that country, whether here in diaspora or in Nigeria. Thank you everybody for the opportunity to host you. Thank you to all the continental leaders for this privilege to do that. As we take the national anthem, I wish everybody safe, you and your family, and please keep keeping safe and take care of yourself in spite of the COVID-19. Thank you everybody for being part of that. Let us take the national anthem and we'll close. Vivian, over to you.